Okay, picture this. Last week, maybe someone you know, maybe even you found themselves saying yes to baking like 60 cupcakes.
60, wow.
Yeah, 60. And also helping a friend move apartments and reviewing 3 presentations for work and picking up the dry cleaning, all while facing a huge deadline.
That sounds familiar. It's painfully familiar, actually.
Right. So if you've ever felt like your yes button is just jammed, and your own stuff keeps getting pushed aside, then this deep dive is definitely for you.
It really is almost universal, isn't it? The sources we looked into really hammer home how much we all struggle with this. It's fascinating, actually.
How so?
Well, our brains are reward systems. They kind of get wires crossed. They mix up being helpful with basic social acceptance. Yeah, the material digs into studies showing that even a tiny request can tap into this really old subconscious fear. A fear of being, kicked out of the tribe if we say no.
Wow. That's powerful. And it gets right to the core of what we're exploring today. We're going to unpack the surprising power of that little word, no.
Just 2 letters, but so much packed into it.
Exactly. Our mission here is to show you why getting good at saying no might honestly one of the most important things you ever learn. We're digging into the real costs, the hidden ones of always saying yes.
And why we're so, conditioned to avoid it.
Right. And showing that saying no, it's not just some personality trait you either have or don't. It's actually a skill, something you can learn and get better at with kindness, too, and clarity.
Which does raise that big question, though.
Yeah.
Why do we keep saying yes, even when it's clearly not good for us? From what you saw, what's the main psychological hook the sources kept pointing to?
Okay, yeah. There was this confession in one source that just nailed it for me. Picture it. 2 a.m., you're covered in flour, right?
Yeah.
60 half-done cupcakes everywhere. Total existential crisis mode.
Been there, minus the cupcakes, maybe.
Right. And how did they get there? Just 3 little words. Of course I can.
Ugh. This is the perfect example, isn't it? How those small yeses just snowball. The source mentioned a friend asking for help with a presentation, then a resume review. Oh, could you grab my dry cleaning? And even though it felt like an imposition, the answer was always yes, yes, yes. It wasn't malice, just habit, an ingrained habit.
And then that same week, a niece's teacher asks about cupcakes for school. So boom, there you are, pulling an all-nighter, totally wiped out, emotionally, physically, wondering why you keep doing this to yourself.
It really shows how these things don't just add up, they kind of compound.
Yeah, compound is the word.
And here's a key insight, especially when we connect it to the bigger picture. That moment of exhaustion, it often comes with this profound realization. Every single time you say yes, when you feel you should, out of guilt or obligation, you're actually saying no to something else, actively.
Right, like saying no to your sleep.
No to sleep, no to your peace of mind, no to your own actual priorities. It's not just about being busy. It's really a form of self-neglect.
Yeah.
And that can lead to missing out on things that matter to you, or even just feeling stuck.
Okay, but if saying yes makes us so miserable sometimes, why do so many of us basically turn into, well, the sources called them human doormats?
Yeah. Harsh but relatable.
Why do we do that the second someone asks for a favor? Because, and the sources really dive deep here, we've been trained, often since we were kids, to want that external validation. Exactly. We learn that no often feels awkward or leads to what we think will be conflict. We connect it with being selfish, even when it's just self-preservation.
And that conditioning can be really subtle, right? Starting way back. Phrases like, oh, be a good helper, or don't let anyone down, they create this link in our heads. Yes equals good, no equals bad. Or selfish. A failing.
Not just a boundary.
Exactly. Not just a boundary. And that leads to this quote that really stuck with me. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
Ooh, that's good. Say that again.
You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. If you think about it, it just highlights how unsustainable constant people-pleasing is. You're burning through your own energy, your own resources. It's finite.
Totally finite. And this connects back to that friend needing help moving, right? Saying yes to that meant saying no to, well, sleep, obviously.
Yeah.
But also to your own weekend, your own plans, maybe crucial work you needed to do. So you end up spending all weekend catching up, feeling kind of resentful, definitely miserable, all because you couldn't just say no.
Precisely. And these little sacrifices, they seem small, but they add up.
Yeah.
And suddenly you realize, wait, I'm not really living my life here. I'm just constantly reacting to everyone else's needs.
Which is the fast track to burnout.
Burnout, deep resentment, just feeling drained all the time. So maybe a good question to ask yourself next time someone asks for your time or energy is, okay, what am I saying no to for myself by saying yes to this?
That's a powerful reframe.
If the answer includes your well-being, your rest, your sanity, then maybe it's time to reconsider.
Okay, but the good news here, right? The sources emphasize this. Saying no isn't just this fixed thing. It's a skill.
Totally. Like learning anything else.
You can learn it, you practice it, you get better. I remember reading about someone's first attempt They declined a potluck invitation they didn't want to go to. And they said the second they did it, they felt like their spine straightened up a bit. Those small wins matter.
They really do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be harsh or mean. That's a big misconception. Our sources had some great examples of kind, clear ways to decline.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Sure. Things like, I'd love to help, but I'm honestly completely swamped this week. Or that sounds interesting, but it doesn't quite align with my focus right now.
Simple, direct.
Yeah. Another good one. Thanks so much for the offer. I really appreciate you thinking of me, but I have to pass this time. The key is just clarity. And you don't need a long explanation. Brevity works.
It's amazing how effective those simple phrases can be. One person in the source material talked about being asked to join this volunteer committee at work.
The dreaded committee requests.
Right. Great cause, lovely people, but zero bandwidth. Just absolutely none. And their response was basically, I really admire the work you're doing, but I just can't commit the time right now. And it felt awkward for maybe 5 seconds. And then just this huge wave of relief. Freedom.
That freedom is real. But, okay, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Even after you manage to say no, even kindly, there's often that little voice, right? That pang of guilt.
Oh, yeah. The post-no guilt monster. It's definitely real. You replay it, you worry you were too blunt, you wonder if they're mad.
Happens all the time. So what do we do with that guilt? What did the sources say?
This was maybe the biggest game changer for me, a core insight. Just because you feel guilty doesn't mean you are guilty.
Ooh, okay. Unpack that.
That guilt, it's often just an emotional echo, like a leftover habit from years and years of people-pleasing, of that conditioning we talked about.
So it's like a feeling, but not necessarily a fact about the situation.
Exactly. And the sources suggest asking yourself one simple question. Did I say no respectfully?
Okay.
If the answer is yes, if you were clear and kind, then that guilty feeling is just noise, emotional noise. You don't actually need to do anything about it.
That's helpful. It frames the feeling so it doesn't take over, make you backtrack or overcompensate later. You can just notice it and let it pass.
Right. So this whole thing, mastering no, it's not just about avoiding burnout, though that's huge. It's about actively making space, carving out room for what actually matters to you.
Your health, your passions, your own goals.
Yeah. You shift from just reacting all the time to being intentional. You stop getting pulled in a million directions and start moving with purpose.
And remember that guilt thing we just talked about?
Yeah.
That emotional echo? The sources were really consistent here. If you handled it respectfully, the guilt is just noise. It's not a true signal you did something wrong.
And often people actually respect the clarity more than they resent the no.
Surprisingly often, yes. They respect the honesty and the boundary more than someone who says yes and then flakes out or seems resentful. Clarity and conviction go a long way.
Which kind of brings us full circle to our final thought for you listening right now, something to really mull over after this deep dive.
Okay.
If saying yes to everyone else all the time means you're constantly, perpetually saying no to your own sleep, your own peace, your most important priorities, then what's the real cost? What's the accumulating cost of always saying yes on your own life?
Remember that quote. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
Exactly. So the question we want to leave you with is this. What is the one no you need to say, maybe even right now, so that you can finally say a genuine, wholehearted yes to yourself?